why, which of course means Run Pure Sports viewers are shipping on a Showdown slate. Last Thursday, DFS superstar Whistles Go Woo joined JSU and BigT on the Thursday Night Football Showdown show to talk about the slate, and he hit the nail on the head with a killer hot take.
I love the play of Taysom as captain, but put Dallas's defense also there. And I know that seems kind of crazy, and most people would think, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. But can't you imagine one running touchdown, one throwing touchdown, but then a pick six for Dallas tonight?
His recommendation to pair Taysom Hill with the Dallas defense, along with JSU and Big T's call to pair him with Deontay Harris, was the winning formula to ship Showdown tournaments.
I remember tons of slates where the studs like Kamara, Michael Thomas, he just wouldn't get them as involved, and some of the lesser guys he would pepper, and one of them was always Deontay Harris.
If you couldn't tell, our hosts have been on fire recently with some great calls on our premium content as well as Discord, including Holden, who has been pounding the table with Matt Breida on Thanksgiving, as well as recent Eli Mitchell and Jalen Waddle on our Up to Lock show on Sundays.
Heggy B, what do you think of Elijah Mitchell? I mean, personally, he's right at the top to me. I've got a couple lineups with Elijah Mitchell. When he plays, he gets the rock.
NBA is firing on all cylinders as well, with Bobby recommending a 1% owned 40 burger for Santi Aldama on our final countdown show Thursday night.
Is there a guy named Santi really in Bobby Gomes' core from You Better Relax, Bro?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad play. If he sees 17 minutes, they're kind of hurt. He's 0.94 fantasy point per minute play. He's a power forward. It's more of a large field thing.
Congratulations to all of our members on their huge wins, including E. Cunningham with his 560K hit on NFL Showdown, and Matt Ryan 858 with his 100K shipper on NBA. And huge shout out to our guy Tambo for coming in second place in DraftKings King of the Beach tournament. Tambo shipped 150K in week 13 with his Gardner Minshew lineup, so big congrats to him. If you are not subscribed yet, what in the heck are you doing? Join today with 25% off your first month with the promo code RPSHeater25. Make sure you check back soon for a huge announcement, and of course, Run Pure.
What is up, everybody? Happy Wednesday, usual Wednesday crew, AP, DC, myself. And on Wednesdays, as you guys know, it's a big boy slate, and today's even bigger than usual. 13 games. The injury report is a huge list. We're going to get into that. It's going to be a crazy one. Some clear spots that we can go to. I think some clear games that we can cross off too. So 13 games, it's a lot. We'll try and narrow it down, make it easier for you. Hope you guys are all doing well. Matthew Moore, you had the comment of the day so far. You made me laugh pre-show, and you said when the Whistles Go Woo show and promo was going on, you said, y'all love reminding me that I didn't listen. And that made me laugh too, because a couple of people I know missed that show, unfortunately. The other people that watched it, it was a very, very good one. That Showdown show will go into history as one of the best ever. So Matthew Moore, appreciate you making me laugh. What's going on, Nadesify? Brittany, Junior, Steve Anthony. Good seeing you, Steve Anthony. I haven't seen you in chat for a little while. D-Gaz, hope you had a good trip to King of the Beach. Thanks for all hanging out with us. And AP, there was a chat earlier by Brittany saying real good Saber Sim walkthrough on the final countdown show and last night, starting at the 29-minute mark. I'm just going to throw it to you because we've been hinting at stuff a little bit. They did a little demo yesterday, but nothing official yet. But talk to the people a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, nothing official, but the cat's out of the bag pretty much. I mean, everyone knows this announcement that Hoopster is finally going to be able to make tomorrow. So make sure that you listen to the show tomorrow. It's going to be free. Everything's going to be free tomorrow. So really exciting announcement. We are working hard with them. You'll learn more about it tomorrow, but to create a much better product for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're a 150 max player or single entry player or a cash game player. We feel that this tool, this enhancement directly onto our website is going to make a massive difference for everyone out there playing fantasy sports. So yeah, really excited. Make sure you tune into the show tomorrow.
Yeah, I've been dabbling with it. It's a really, really cool product. If you haven't checked it out, There's going to be a big Hoop will talk about it, but make sure you tune in tomorrow. There's NFL Showdown. There's NBA. They're going to do a little dive into that. Or Hoop's going to announce something. We'll see. But AP, I'll go right back to you. How was your Wednesday, Ben? I know you've been in Discord. You've been breaking down this slate. It's a crazy one. So any initial thoughts on this slate?
I thought you were going to say breaking up fights. I mean, yeah, usually that's
Maybe
what we're
that-
doing in Discord. You
maybe
know,
that too.
Pensac, K-Phallic, guys are always starting brawls in there. Usually that happens at midnight, 11 midnight. And my mom taught me nothing good happens after midnight. So where am I when it comes to that time? Unless like I'm shipping 100K, I am fully in the sheets. So that's where I'm at. But no, fun slate tonight. Ton of games, a lot to go through, lots of injury news, but I feel very good. I feel there's a lot of very nice plays that we can just lock in. And then there's always going to be ways to get different. So excited to break it down.
Yep, I'm going to go over to you, DC. I've never seen a grin on your face that big when you talk about a little confrontation, a little fights brewing. You're an expert at that on Twitter. You know how to get the blood going over there. How is your Wednesday so far? Any fights you're about to pick on Twitter, get people riling up today? Any thoughts in your head yet?
Yeah, no plans to fight tonight, but you never know. Maybe the NBA slate will turn against me. I'll have to take it out on the people of Twitter. So, an open question. A little different pace to this show with 13 games. Yesterday, I had the 3 games. It went about as I expected. Cash got nowhere near cash like the slate going in. This one, different story. And early in the day, I was kind of thinking. I actually thought for a 13-game slate there wasn't that much good value. It all changed with 2 pieces of news, in my opinion. Kevin Durant and LaMarcus Aldridge ruled out against Houston. And it vaulted, at least in my opinion, we'll talk it all through, James Harden into the best stud of the night, where I thought it was really hard to kind of choose between some of these guys before that, and also opened up just a ton of value on the Nets too. So it opened up the best stud and then all the best value. Looks like it's coming kind of from one team. Maybe we'll get more news, obviously a couple hours out before lock here, but that really changed the slate in a big way. And in my opinion, a good way. I think it became a slate I feel more confident in after that news. So excited to break it all down with you guys, of course.
Yep, Harden definitely will be a big talking point. For all you freebies out there, I'll give you a little freebie. On the cash chart, I already got the initial stuff up, make changes afterwards, but the one tag I did make was James Harden on FanDuel. Little freebie for the people, even though that's shouldn't be a secret, obviously. We'll get all into it. Should be a fun slate. Appreciate you guys all hanging out with us. Like I said, we got to get into the members never win segment first. I know we've talked about a little bit. The NFL has been on fire. Hoop and whistles go woo, $53,000. Takedown season, $19,000. Swint, $25,000. Shaw's Demon, $33,000. Sweet Boy, $59,000. E. Cunningham, cap in Discord, the big $560,000 hit. And then Tambo won $150,000 and took second at King of the Beach. I know D-Gaz was there. Hype Gotti in the chat was there too. So hope you guys had fun. Congrats to all the winners. Very big. And I think Hoop said yesterday on our cash show that when the newsletter Helmet does the newsletter for us, I think he said $2.3 million in winnings last week. I don't know for sure the exact number. It wasn't in the Discord that Simon sent, but I believe $2.3 million, which is absolutely incredible. A lot has to do with that show, Whistles, JSU, Big T, but all the sports are rolling. Crazy, crazy stuff. Congrats to all the winners there. I say we get right into it, though. 13 games. It's not like yesterday's show where 3 games you guys can mess around for a little while. So let's get right into it. Indiana Pacers, the New York Knicks. We have a 209 total. The Pacers are favored by 5. This is one of the spots where both teams are relatively healthy. TJ McConnell's out for the foreseeable future with his wrists and stuff. Back-to-back for the Knicks, but both teams pretty healthy, 13-game slate. I'm going to go to you first, DC. What do you see in this game?
Not a ton, to be honest. I mean, if you want to go to a guy like Karis LeVert with McConnell out, I get it. I mean, he really hasn't had that many big games, right? So that makes me just a little bit nervous on this slate where, again, kind of that Durant, the Brooklyn Nets news, to me, kind of turned this slate into a stars and scrubs type slate for the most part. So I don't know if I'll get a lot to these kind of mid-range guys that you could look to on a smaller slate in this game. The Knicks obviously have shaken things up a little bit with the starting lineup. Mitchell Robinson came off the bench last night and had, I think, his best game of the year. So that's, I guess, a little bit interesting, something to watch. Julius Randle does have more playmaking duties right now in this current starting lineup. I think he's interesting, but 10K on DraftKings, I just don't know if I'm going to get there. You will have to play big minutes, I think, against the bigs of Indiana. So maybe you could look there. But like Sabonis is priced up at 10.3. I don't really see anything in this game that makes me super excited. So unless something changes, plan on fading this game for the most part.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's what I'm saying. 13 games, there's going to be some spots you can cross off. I think it's one of those games. I'll say Karis LeVert on FanDuel at 5-1. I like that price tag a little bit, so wouldn't mind going there. Back-to-back games over 30. AP, you think it's a kind of a cross-off too, or do you see something we don't see?
Yeah, I mean, probably cross off for me, big slate. I mean, Knicks on a back-to-back. Tibbs has his guys, and what he's going to do is whoever's playing well is going to get the minutes. RJ Barrett was a guy last night, and the guys that are always going to get their minutes is Julius Randle, Alec Burks is what it looks like right now. But then you have Barrett, you have Quickly, you have Rose, all Tibbs guys. They're going to get their run depending on how they're playing. So the other thing too is, Mitch Robb, in hindsight on a 3-game slate with him coming off the bench, hindsight's 2020. It would have been a phenomenal play. I recall last year when he came off the bench, he had a few big games and then he just went back. He regressed back to what he always does. And so don't go and play Mitch Robinson tonight on this slate. 22 minutes just is not enough. He's a tougher matchup too against the bigs. So I'm crossing it off and I'm moving on.
Yeah, I don't play Mitchell Robinson on this 13-game slate. If he beats you, you move on to tomorrow, but he won't be high enough to really kill you anyway. Before we get into the next game, 300 watching, 113 likes. Hey, right on cue, Jimmy Porter. Hit those likes. We got almost 300 people in here. Thank you, Jimmy Porter. I appreciate you helping me do my job. Hit the like and subscribe button for us, please. And if you want to be a member and are not a member, I don't know what you're doing, but RPS Eater 25 gets you 25% off your first month. And then make sure you get in Discord. I know we were talking about a little fights in Discord. I personally missed it, but there's always good talks in there, every single sport, breaking down the slates. Then you get some entertainment value as well in there. If you want to be in there at night, I guess some things stir up, but RPS Eater 25% off. We're going to get into the next game, the Washington Wizards, the Detroit Pistons, 210.5 total. Washington is favored by 5. Again, two teams that are relatively healthy with how much news we have on this slate. AP, I'm going to go to you. Break it down.
Yeah, so Wizards, Pistons. Wizards get Dinwiddie back. He's priced down, quite a bit. It does seem like a matchup where, Dinwiddie, should fit him pretty well. Like he's a distributor first, not like a shoot first guy, but he plays slow. I don't expect like this to be a great fantasy environment. However, like we have seen guys go off against this Pistons team, but I do have interest in the other side. While the Wizards look good defensively early on in the season, that just hasn't really been the case of late. I think we can go right back to Cade Cunningham. I think he's a core guy you could potentially build around. I think that price is fine at 7.6. He's doing everything for this team. The usage rate is there. The guy just, he's aggressive and getting boards. He's getting some assists and, always the upside for steals and blocks. So definitely have some interest in Cade. But outside of that, I mean, I do want your guys' opinion on a guy like Saddiq Bey. I mean, quietly played 40 minutes. He was terrible shooting the ball, but if he's going to get, heavy minutes, 35 plus at 5'3", a guy that likes to shoot, not a terrible matchup. I mean, it seems like maybe a 150 guy that you could definitely have in your player pool.
Yeah, I definitely like the K call. The upside's there. My worry about Saddiq Bey is just like on a 13-game slate when we already have some value. I don't think you really the floor is a little too low, I think. The minutes are there. If it was like a 3-game or 4-game slate yesterday, I definitely would be interested. Personally, though, I agree with you. I think it's Cade. Otherwise, kind of a stay away. Again, Montrezl Harrell, stuff like that. 5.1K, we know his upside, but center, we always talk about it. We have 13 games. DC, talk about Cade Cunningham, Saddiq Bey, anything you see in this game.
Yeah, nothing from the Washington side for me. That's going to be a complete fade again, unless Bradley Beal gets rolled out, something like that. But as for the information we have now, I'm not going to the Washington side. Detroit side, I will be a little careful with Cade. I think most of his big games have come when either one of Corey Joseph or Killian Hayes is out, because they kind of do, take over some of that playmaking, have the ball in their hands a little bit more. Corey Joseph missed the last game. Both of these guys have missed time a number of games. And most, I think maybe all of Cade Cunningham's big games have come when one of those two guys have sat. Joseph and Hayes both going to play in this one. They also have Saban Lee, another point guard. So I'm just not sure Cade's going to have quite the opportunity. Listen, he gets going. He's, number one overall pick, and maybe he just kind of takes over. But I'm a little hesitant about that. And then Saddiq Bey, I think he benefited from the absence of Hamidou Diallo in that last game, who missed with a facial fracture. But I think he could return here. I think that's why Bey got so many more minutes. Diallo plays quite a bit on the wing, basically Saddiq Bey's direct backup. So, long story short, I'm not really playing any guys from this game.
Yeah, first two games, I think relatively pretty easy cross-off games. One off someone, I think would make some sense, but I'm with you. Before we get into the next game, what's going on, Mr. Mike's daddy? Hope you're having a good day. And then our boy Steve Anthony said, I'm wondering where Title's getting his haircut in Texas. Steve, I know you said earlier you are visiting family in Wisconsin. You got a haircut at the barber shop. I'm jealous because, as you can see, my hair is growing out and I do need a haircut. It's not going to be back to my shoulders like it was that one day, but I'm actually waiting until I do go back to Wisconsin over Christmas break to get to the barber shop because I don't trust too many people snipping my hair. I've experienced a few bad haircuts and I didn't like it for sure. So, Steve, I appreciate you looking out for me. Gonna wait till I get back in Wisconsin, though. I haven't found anyone around here. Enough of my haircut, though. Going to the next game, Chicago Bulls. Actually, no, next game, excuse me. I'm going to go Philadelphia 76ers, the Charlotte Hornets. The Sixers are favored by 6, a 214.5 total. On the Sixers side, Tyrese Maxey is questionable. He wasn't even on the injury report last game, popped up and was out due to an illness. Shake Milton then became pretty popular. We were all over Joel Embiid. I mean, this is the same matchup as we just saw. Embiid smashed them. Now the Hornets are still without a lot of key pieces. LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Mason Plumlee, Ish Smith, Jalen McDaniels. This game printed for us last time. Binked OT as well. Kelly Oubre went absolutely bananas. I'm not going to expect that same performance. He got a price bump, but he's going to shoot as many times and play as many minutes as he does. I think he makes sense. If Tyrese is out, Shake Milton. There's goods in this game for sure. I'm going to go to you, AP, talk about this game because it's one of the better ones.
Yeah, I mean, this just seems like one of those spots where, I mean, the Hornets very thin right now, very tight rotation, things that we want to see for fantasy purposes. However, I mean, Philly healthy, getting another piece back in Tyrese Maxey. My one fear is them coming in and just, getting up early and, blowing the Hornets out. That's kind of my initial read on this game. I'm still showing ownership on Cody Martin. If I were to play this game, I want the lower owned guys. I want Miles Bridges. I want Kelly Oubre, PJ Washington off the bench there. Gordon Hayward, I mean, man, I played him last time. He's in my core too. I hate to admit that because I thought we were going to see more point Gordon Hayward, but he looked pretty dusty. His shot didn't look good. It just looks like he doesn't have it, like his legs. He just looks slow. He doesn't look good. So maybe he'll prove me wrong and go off tonight. You see it happen all the time. But then the other side, it's Embiid. Bigs dominate this Hornets team. We're going to see them start Nick Richards. It's going to be a great matchup for Joel Embiid. The reason they're doing that is so the PJ Washington, the better player, doesn't get 2 fouls right away and they have to pull him out. So a little bit of strategy on the Hornets side. I do worry about this game. I am going to end up being underweight on it. It's a big slate. I'm showing 30 to 40% ownership maybe on Cody Martin. I don't see him as a guy with like a ton of upside. So at 5K, like 33 from him doesn't necessarily kill me. There's other paths in tournaments to have a lot of success. And I think his floor is a lot lower than we all think.
Yeah, I'm going to go quick question from Dakota AP. I'm going to go back to it's for all three of us. So I'll go to you first, AP. Tonight, because it's 13 games, do you think it's more of a balanced build or do you think it's more of a stars and scrubs?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. I think tonight is leaning stars and scrubs because we got one star in Harden that we're going to talk about, and I do think we have some viable value pieces. So I can see it being like a one stud or two stud build, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a little more stars and scrubs. When so many injuries occur, we have a lot of value. Harden is the clear spend up, and we have Jokic, Embiid, stuff like that. So I think it's a stars and scrubs kind of route too. Doesn't mean you avoid the mid-tier fully, but I think getting a star in your lineup, or at least one, maybe two, makes a lot of sense. DC, I'm going to go to you. Same question, break down that game. And then some people in chat were talking, I couldn't have had a worse haircut than the one you gave yourself from that bet. So that makes me feel a little better too.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, I mean, this game was a print fest for us, obviously, on Monday with all the cheap Charlotte value, and then you just put it with Embiid, and, I was on the show that day saying, there's no reason to get cute. Just do it, and you're probably going to end up doing real well. We did. But, yeah, I'm kind of with you, AP. A little bit worried about this game. Price hikes across the board for the Charlotte guys. I had like 4 or 5 Charlotte guys in all my lineups. They all kind of got there, of course, helped a little bit by the overtime, but they were pretty much there anyway. I mean, Hayward, he had 9 assists, so we did see him try to run the point. 19 shot attempts, that's a lot of usage there. But like you said, man, there's just no spring in those legs anymore. He can't really drive because he just doesn't have the speed or jumping ability, really explosiveness to finish at the hoop. So I don't know how much upside Hayward really has. And, everybody in the NBA has downside. So you get up to these price tags of 7,600, you need to have the opportunity for 40, 45, 50 fantasy points. And I don't know, Hayward, maybe he can get there, but I would probably off him tonight. I would rather play Oubre, who just looks like the far more explosive, more dangerous player right now. Again, I'm not expecting him to do what he did in that last game, but he's looked awesome this season. And I think he kind of enjoys having this bigger role. Big price hike, 7,500 for Oubre, but clearly he's got upside to put up the 45 plus fantasy points that you're looking for at that price tag. So give me Oubre over Hayward. I wouldn't play both together. I do like Oubre, especially on FanDuel at 6,800. Nice little discount for him there comparing the two sites. Cody Martin, I think, is a good play. I still think there's more that he can do. He's a good shooter. He did get some ball handling duties. I liked him more before the value opened up on Brooklyn, though. Now, kind of might as well save that 1,500 and go to a little cheaper pieces who seem to have about as much upside. I do like Martin's floor. I think he's going to be out there 35 plus minutes in the vast majority of runouts. So I think he's a good play. And then going to the Philadelphia side, it's just going to be Embiid or nothing for me. I'm not going to anyone else on this slate from Philly. Embiid was awesome, kind of did what we expected, but watching him play is a little painful right now. He looks like he's constantly tired, laboring up and down the court. It makes me nervous paying 11.7K for him, I'll be honest. But again, Charlotte has nobody that can deal with him down low. We saw it last game. I'm not expecting that type of performance, but I do think he'll be pretty damn good. Just an awesome individual matchup for Embiid. I do obviously prefer, well, maybe not obviously, but definitely prefer Harden to him. But Embiid certainly in the discussion with guys like Giannis, Nikola Jokic. On if you're trying to fit in 2 studs or fading Harden, certainly Embiid's got to be on the short list.
Yeah.
Hey, title.
Yep.
One quick note too that I wanted to make. This is a 3 and 4 for Charlotte. And in all of these games, they've had a really limited rotation. So they've been dealing with that COVID stuff. So I'm just saying. I mean, these guys have played heavy minutes coming off an OT game. Just one of those spots that I'm personally concerned about. I hope this game gets a lot of ownership because I'm lower on it in tournaments.
Yeah, definitely a good point. I mean, if it's a 25-point game going into the fourth quarter, which I trust Vegas more, it's not the craziest spread, but still 6. You don't expect them to run their guys out 40-plus minutes again if they're already out of the game. But they have them playing teams competitively. The game's going to get some ownership. It's not going to be as highly owned as it was on Monday because of the prices. They've got bumps, but some of these guys are definitely going to get some ownership. We're going to go into the next game. First, do us a favor. Hit the like button for us, please. Hit the subscribe. We appreciate it. Next game, Chicago Bulls, Cleveland Cavaliers. The Bulls are dogs. Wow. Cavaliers are favored by 3. they're okay. I would say good's a little reach, but hey, they're favored by 3. We're going to get to some of the injury news for the Bulls, which is why they are favored by 3. 211.5 total. The Bulls, DeRozan's out. Caruso's doubtful. Kobe White's still out. Then Matt Thomas, Javonte Green don't mean as much, but they are battling some injuries. We saw Ayu Dosunmu, which we talked about on Monday, slid into the starting lineup, played over 40 minutes, had a nice game. I mean, the guy was good in college. We talked about it. I think he's a little interesting at 3.9, but we do have a lot of other value on the slate as well. Don't think you can ignore him, though. Lonzo Ball had a really good game. I'll go to you, DC. Talk about this Bull side, and the Cavs are good. So who are you running with them, or is today not the slate?
No, I wish Chicago had a better matchup. I mean, wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland has held their opponent under 100 points more than any other team in the league. I think that, they're up there in terms of the defense that they play. They play at a slower pace. But still, Chicago just down so many guys that the usage, you kind of see where it went, right? Lonzo Ball had his best game of the year, I think. Zach LaVine had a really strong game. And then Vucevic, I think, is kind of a sneaky play on this slate that I don't think a lot of people are going to go to that, like, kind of second-tier stud. Most people are going to go all the way up to Harden, Embiid, Giannis, and Vucevic in there at 9,500. Like him a little bit. But, again, tough matchup for him. Mobley, a terrific defender. Jared Allen, a good defender, so it's not easy sliding for Vucevic. I do like the value. Dosunmu, I mean, hard to turn down a guard. They played 42 minutes last game, and now they got another guy out. They ran an 8-man rotation last time. Thomas played like 4 or some of those minutes. He's out this game too. They just don't have a lot left. So Dosunmu, barring injury or foul trouble or blowout or something weird like that, I think you got to expect him to be out there nearly 40 minutes. Good scorer in college, can obviously rack up assists. It's going to be hard not to get there at 3,900 if he does indeed get those minutes again, and I think he most likely will. So I definitely like him as a value play, 3,900. Derek Jones Jr., I think, is another good value play. Again, another guy played 28 minutes, was in a little bit of foul trouble. But gets more usage than normal with all these guys off the court. And then once again, Chicago lost another guy out of their rotation. Maybe they'll pull someone else in, but it's not someone they want to play, right? And Derek Jones Jr. was kind of knocking on the door 4 more minutes prior to, DeRozan and these guys going out. So, yeah, I think Derek Jones Jr. are going to play big minutes here. Again, I really don't like the matchup against Mobley, so that has me a little bit gun shy, but minutes kind of trump that for the most part, especially when you're talking about a value play, 4,300 on DraftKings for Derek Jones Jr. So give me the value here. I'll take the value. Dosunmu, Derek Jones Jr., maybe mix in Alonzo, LaVine, Vucevic, but those guys aren't my favorite studs on this slate, mostly due to the matchup. So mostly going to value from the Chicago side. Not a ton for Cleveland here. For me, I think, I like Ricky Rubio a little bit, 5,400, I think, on both sides, still getting his 27 to 30 minutes. Nobody will play him, but he's still got a big role in this offense. And you occasionally see Rubio just blow up out of nowhere, and post like near triple-double numbers. I don't necessarily expect that, but it does happen from time to time, and nobody will play Ricky Rubio tonight. So I have a little bit of interest there, but for the most part, it's the value on Chicago that I want to play.
Yeah, makes sense. And I guess looking more into it, I'm still a little surprised the Bulls are 3-point dogs. But yeah, you look at their bench, Troy Brown, Tony Bradley, Devin Dotson is pretty much like that's the 8-man rotation. So I guess it makes some sense that it's a close spread. Going to UAP, who is your favorite in this game? Are you going to have a couple pieces? Is it a full fade? How do you see this game?
Yeah, it seems like AO is going to be one of the chalkier values on the slate. And I think he's fine. I just, 41 minutes, you take 6 shots, relying all on peripheral stats. I mean, it's a 1-game sample size, but we know, I know that they want the ball in Lonzo's hands or Levine's hands. So, I mean, if you just look at that stat line, you would have been, let's just imagine that that game he played last time happens tonight. You're playing like 18 minutes in that first half. and you have like 4.5 fantasy points. I mean, I can just imagine the tilt that's going on in Discord when that's going on. And then he had a good second half. So I think it really comes down to how aggressive is he going to get. I think DC said it, but I do respect the Cavaliers defense too. So I don't think like, the assist upside is necessarily going to be there. Just looking at the length of Mobley, Marketing, Allen. I mean, these guys are going to make it really tough on all of these guys. So I see this game, like, I think he's fine. Like, he's not like, I don't know if he's going to be a core play for me. I do think he'll be popular. I have interest in Lonzo Ball here. I think him, Levine, and Vucevic are really going to have to do their thing. Vucevic and Levine are priced sky high. At that price, like, I'm only playing Levine in MME formats. It's just 10-5. There's better studs on the slate, but he'll definitely get you different, and he is capable of a monster game. I think the guy that definitely is most interesting to me is Lonzo Ball. I know those guys, K Fallon, shout out to him. They've been betting Lonzo Ball triple-double every single night. You know what? Tonight, the odds weren't good. I messaged him this morning, 30-1. He was all pissed off. Would it surprise anyone if when the odds, nosedove and down to 30-1 when they'd been 90-1? Would it surprise anyone if Lonzo Ball got his triple-double tonight? Would not surprise me.
If they're jumping off, I'm jumping on. If
it's only 30-1 though. I mean, it doesn't necessarily make sense. Like, the risk just is not there. But I could definitely see it happening. I have a little bit of interest in Lonzo tonight. And then on the other side of this game, just seems like such a great game for Mobley. And I know he's been kind of tilting of late, 26, 38, 25. He's capable of a monster game. And I think this matchup is perfect for him. I mean, Vucevic is going to be worried about Jared Allen. So who do you have? It's like they don't have many other guys. I mean, Derek Jones is good, but Mobley's just a monster down there. So I think if anyone on the Cavs side is going to have a monster game, it's Evan Mobley.
Mobley's a very, very good basketball player. He's going to be a problem in this league for a long time. That's for sure. Going to get into the next game. First of all, hit the like and subscribe button for us, please. Getting close to 200 likes. We're not there yet. One favor, doesn't take long. 1 second. Hit the thumbs up. We appreciate it for sure. Going to get into the next game, though. 13 games. We're rolling through them. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the Toronto Raptors. Toronto is favored by 7.5, a 206.5 total. Some injuries on the Toronto side. OG Anunoby is still out. Kem Birch is out. Precious Achiuwa is questionable. So it's 7:30 game. We'll probably get it before lock. If Precious is out, I mean, they don't have Kem Birch with another big. Boucher's going to have to get minutes, you'd think. Now, Nurse absolutely hates, or they hate this guy, unfortunately. I like playing Boucher. He's a good fantasy point per minute producer. He has upside, but the minutes are what's in question. 3.4K. If Precious is out, I think can make a lot of sense. Pascal Siakam would have to play some of the 5-2. They'd play small. And then somebody in chat mentioned earlier, I forget who said it, but any interest in SGA coming back home? DC, I'm going to go to you. Talk about SGA. Talk about this Toronto side.
Yeah, not going to OKC here. Generally, when they have SGA and Giddey healthy and Dort and the guys that kind of share the backcourt load, that's not a team that I go to very often. Tough matchup going into Toronto. So OKC, frankly, a relatively easy fade on this.
Did we lose them?
Might have lost them. So no OKC for DC.
I can go. Yeah, I mean, so one thing quickly about Boucher. I said it this morning in Discord. Like, this is a phenomenal matchup to showcase his skill set. We've seen these players that are high fantasy point per minute players, maybe a little dusty at times too, have a ton of success against this Thunder team, especially guys down in the paint. So, like, even if Precious plays, this is totally a game where Boucher could just rack up literally like 3 blocks, 2 steals, hit 4 3-pointers, and then, get six rebounds, all in a matter of like 15 minutes. So I think he's a great MME play if Precious is out, and then obviously a good play if Precious is in. But I kind of hope Precious plays because I'd rather him be much lower owned. And I kind of like him coming off the bench too. I just need 18 to 22 minutes from him in this matchup, and I think he crushes.
Yeah, it's 18-20, he definitely crushes. If Precious is out and he gets you 25, though, I mean, his ceiling there would be tasty. If Precious plays too, let me ask you, AP. Precious plays, he is questionable, which will always drive the tag down a little bit. 4.6K. I mean, if he plays, he's going to have to play 30-plus minutes. They don't have bigs. Do you have interest in Precious at 4.6 if he's ruled in?
Yeah, I would. I just think it's going to be a matchup to where they can let Boucher let these backups run a little bit. So I think Toronto's going to handle them in this game. And I don't, I mean, Darius Bazley under 4K. There's better values, but it's a guy that's shown.
I'm done doing that. No, I played him once.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm with you. Yeah, I don't know if I want to get sucked in, but if they were smart, they would play Kendrick Williams a lot more minutes. We saw it last game, 27 minutes. He's one of their better players, and they need to be giving him like 28 to 32 off the bench. I think he's a guy that can run the second unit. So, but I'm trying to avoid the OKC side of this game.
Yeah, there's very few players I put on my do not roster list, but after what Bazley did to me that one day when they got beat by 95 or whatever it was, he went on that do not play list, especially on a 13-game slate. But I get it.
All right, but
under Tyler, 4K.
Like, they are better with Shea in there because they're going to be more competitive.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Sure. So, like, it's one of those things where he enhances guys like Lou Dort, guys like Bazley who can't get it done themselves. I think you need Giddey or SGA in there, but I'm not paying almost 9K for SGA.
Yeah, no, I for sure hear you. I think OKC is a pretty easy stay away. Looks like we got you back, DC. We heard what you said. OKC is stay away too, so that's 3 for 3. Talk about the Toronto side and what Precious does for you if he's in, if he's out.
Yeah, I think you're just looking at the bigs. If he sits, like AP said, I think Boucher at that point becomes a pretty good play. I still question how many minutes they'll give him, but obviously the matchup's phenomenal, like AP outlined. So, yeah, I think he would become an interesting play at that point. 3,400, if you want to roll the dice, even with Precious in there, I understand it. Nobody will do it. And he is a player that can be very, very strong on a point-per-minute basis. So those guys are guys that can obviously get there on unlimited minutes. I do kind of like Precious if he's in there, though. 4,600. OKC's bigs are really soft, and they play Precious some pretty big minutes when he's healthy. I mean, pretty much 30-plus minutes every night. And the matchup really couldn't be much better here. He's had a number of relatively tough matchups in a row. Precious has been decent. Obviously not a super high upside guy, and maybe there's better value, but I think he's got a good shot at 30-plus fantasy points if he does end up playing. And then the other guy I might look to, if he's out, is Pascal Siakam, because I think he would end up playing a bunch of minutes at the 5, and he could absolutely thrive in this matchup. A guy who could contribute all 5 categories: points, rebounds, assists, and then defensively as well. And he would have some upside, but 8,800, it's steep, obviously. But still, I do think he's someone that could put up 50-plus in this matchup if Precious does end up sitting.
Yeah, I think so Luka's questionable. Like, we have other more important news. I think the Precious news is going to get a little overlooked, but
yeah, that's
definitely
important. Yeah.
But definitely is a little more important than I think people are thinking. And the ownership, I don't expect anything to be too crazy, whether he's in, whether he's out. I'd keep a little eye on that. I think you can get a little edge in tournaments with that one. We're going to get into the next game. Hit the like for us, please. Over 200. You guys are doing well. We still got 2, 4. We've got plenty of games left. So we're going to get right into it. Hit the like for us while we're at it, though, please. The last 7:30 p.m. Eastern game, my Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Miami Heat. The Bucks are favored by 6.5, 216.5 total. Miami's banged up, though. Jimmy Butler is out. Bam's out for a little while. Markieff Morris is out. Caleb Martin's out. Or Caleb Martin is questionable, excuse me. Caleb Martin's not the biggest news on the slate. His brother Cody makes a little more difference. But still, if he's out, they're going to be without even another guard. If he's out, like a Gabe Vincent, I think would make a little sense if you want to punt. I'm not sure you need to do it on a slate like this, though, but he'd be in play. The two main guys, Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry, get the biggest bumps for me. I think they're very strong plays. And then on the Bucks side, I don't really have any interest except Giannis. And that's because I'm seeing 5% ownership. If that's the case on a slate that we have a lot of value, 6.5. I mean, if this game stays within 6 points in the fourth quarter, he's getting a full amount of minutes. Giannis at 5% in a full amount of minutes would sound tasty to me. I'll go to you, DC. Talk about the Bucks. Talk about the Heat.
Yeah, I mean, before the James Harden news, Giannis was kind of right there for me with Embiid and then Jokic on where you're going to spend. Now I kind of prefer to go down a little bit to Harden, but 5% Giannis, matchup is totally fine, obviously, especially with Jimmy and Bam out. This Heat team and defense just is not the same. I mean, that's the two best players in my opinion, and I kind of worry a little bit about Miami's ability to compete. I know they're at home. I know the spread is only 6, but a fully functional Milwaukee team. I mean, and Milwaukee tries to put teams away, right? Like they want to get Giannis and their guys out of the game in the fourth quarter if they can. And it seems like they kind of keep that pedal to the metal until that point. So it concerns me a little bit for the Miami guys, Lowry, Tyler Hero. I think they're okay, but tough matchup here. Honestly, if I was going to play one, I might play the other with them, right? And hope that they both play well, because I think they're both going to need to play well and have pretty big games to keep this one close. Against Milwaukee, I always do look for 3-point shooters. They allow a ton of above the break threes, lead the league every single year, last 3 years in that category. So, you're looking at someone like Duncan Robinson, who did put up 23 fantasy points in 26 minutes a couple days ago, missed run from the blowout. But, he got up 7 3-point attempts in 26 minutes, just how Milwaukee plays defense. Missing guys. Miami is now. Maybe Duncan Robinson can catch fire and make 6 or 7 threes in this game. Again, maybe a little thin, but 4K, you do get a nice price discount, and they do need his scoring in this game. Matchup is perfect for him. So he's a guy that I think could be a little bit sneaky, but for the most part, yeah, Giannis or bust for Milwaukee. And then for the Heat, if I'm playing Heat, it might be Lowry, Hero, Robinson, and then Giannis on the other side, right? And go for the little mini game stack, hope it stays close. But I don't necessarily want just one piece from this game.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I don't expect too much. I mean, Lowry and Hero definitely will be the highest owned. Outside of them, I think this game's relatively lower owned. But yeah, if you're playing Giannis, you definitely want to play some Heat in that lineup, because somebody on that squad is going to make it close, and the price tags aren't way up there. Like 7.2 is the highest price on the Heat. I think that makes some sense for sure. AP, what do you see in this game?
Yeah, I have quite a bit of interest in this game. The one thing about the NBA, we saw this with the Mavericks against the Pels, that series that wasn't too long ago. Mavericks came in, blew them out. Next game, turnaround game. It was a bad blowout too, but then the next game, Pels got the win. So teams, it's tough, in these these short turnaround time games, to blow teams out back to back. Even teams that are thin. I think the spread of 6.5 points is indicative of just how hard it is to do that. The Heat playing at home, and Vegas respects these guys: Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry, and if Caleb Martin sits too, you're gonna have a very tight rotation. So I have a lot of interest in these guys. I think they're going to go a bit lower owned tonight relative to where they should be, except for on FanDuel. Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, much cheaper over on FanDuel. So on DraftKings, I definitely have interest in them. Kyle Lowry, 7.2, Hero, 7K. I mean, these guys are going to have big nights to keep this one close. I like DC's take with Duncan Robinson. He's a guy that they need to get going. 3-point shooter, 4K. I think he's a solid value. And then Dwayne Dedman, he's going to need to have a big night. I do worry because he's going to have to handle Giannis all night, so foul trouble is going to be a big risk there. But if he can stay out of foul trouble, you got to think at 4.8K, he's probably going to get you between 28 to 30. So it just comes down to upside. So definitely prefer the guards though on the Heat side.
Yeah, I'm with you. Kevin McLean in chat said, any interest in the backup center for the Heat, which is Amir Yurtseven. I know I butchered that name for sure. I've never heard of the guy before. The last 3 games, he played 19, 23, 16 minutes. I don't think you need to do it on this slate on 13 games. If it was yesterday's slate and you needed a punt to get you more stars, I think it makes sense. Personally, though, we're going to get in the next game where I like some value. I just can't play a guy that I have no clue it is. DC, I see you laughing over there. What are you laughing about? How I pronounce the name?
I've never heard of him either. I just pulled up his picture.
He's not on the heat map either, so you won't find him there.
not on the heat map for AP. DC and I have not heard of him, but yeah, I get it. I think that's a solid question. He's going to play 20 minutes, I think, but I think there's a better slate to do it. I wouldn't play him on this one. Sounds like they agree as well. We're going to get into the next game. And this is the game we're talking about it that a lot of people have interest in, myself included, value spend ups. The Brooklyn Nets, the Houston Rockets. Brooklyn is favored by 3, 223.5 total. There's news on the Rocket side too. Kevin Porter is out. Jalen Green is out. Daniel House is out. And then Kevin Durant's out. Joe Harris is still out. And LaMarcus Aldridge is also out. Blake Griffin was out of the rotation. It'll be interesting to see what Steve Nash does with him today. I wouldn't play him in DFS, but if he doesn't play at all, I mean, even if he plays. So James Johnson and Nicholas Claxton, Dakota earlier asked who my favorite value plays on the slate were. I think it's got to be these Nets guys. James Johnson had a very good game yesterday. Just a good basketball player, 3.3K. Nicholas Claxton at 3.2K. He closed the game yesterday. I love if it was Kevin Durant in and James Harden out, I wouldn't like Claxton as much. But Claxton and Harden play really well in the pick and roll. I think Claxton's very strong at 3-2. James Johnson 3-3. Dakota, those are my favorite value plays on the slate. And then James Harden at 11-2. Going to be the most popular play on the slate. He has the most raw points. He's going back to Houston for all the narrative people too. I think it makes so much sense with Harden. Hey, you two are the main tournament players though, so we know the ownership's going to be there. What are you going to do with the ownership? AP, I'm going to go to you. Talk about this net side and talk about the Rockets.
Yeah, last time they were on a back-to-back, KD did play, but James Johnson was the one that sat. And on that back-to-back, we saw Harden play almost 40 minutes. So I think he's firmly the top play overall on the slate. I'm not fading him. I might just honestly lock him in, get extremely overweight as much as I can because it just – gosh, I mean, the paths for him to bust, I'm not seeing it. I mean, you're talking injury, you're talking like things that I just don't factor into games at all. So sign me up for James Harden. I'll be curious to see what DC says as well on that. Some of the peripheral pieces, like I do worry a little bit more about the minutes there, except for like Patty Mills. His role seems very solid, 34 minutes last time they played a back-to-back. But they got Millsap. They got a lot of dusty dudes that they can rotate in. So a guy like Nick Claxton, are they really going to run him out 25, 30 minutes? I think it's more likely that.
I think 25 plus a little bit, 30 a little.
I mean, title and tournaments. If I'm figuring that he'll be somewhat popular, I'm going to bet on under 25 minutes for Nick Claxton here. But I could be wrong. I'm not fading him by any means. I just think that he's a guy could end up maybe a little bit lower on, but 3.2K. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. James Johnson. So the guy I was looking at, I forget, but a James Johnson tie, or it was LaMarcus Aldridge. He got 32 minutes on a back-to-back. So I think some of these older players, as long as they're like feeling good, looking good, and James Johnson looked incredible yesterday, I think they'll give him some run. I do worry about more so like I'm not playing Paul Millsap. I do worry about Bruce Brown here, unless for some reason he started. Bembry, etc. I'll be lower on those guys.
Yep, makes sense. Someone in chat asked about Bruce Brown too. 3.6 on DK. He has a good price on FanDuel too. DC, talk about Bruce Brown. Talk about what you're doing with Harden, Johnson, Claxton, and anything else in this game.
Yeah, I'm playing 3 lineups on FanDuel tonight, 4 on DraftKings. FanDuel, all 3. Harden's going in there. Like you said, I mean, the path to bust is just not really there. Anytime you get James Harden, obviously without another superstar, we know what he does. We've seen him for years. Sometimes, right, if the matchup is tough, maybe his team could get blown out. This is obviously the best possible matchup. Houston is by far the best matchup, for anybody, but especially for a player like James Harden. And then, you have the revenge factor, if you want to throw that in there. And then Harden is one of those guys, maybe famous last words here. He's never in foul trouble. He never gets hurt, right? He just doesn't – the pass to busting that could sometimes exist, just not really there for James Harden. So, of course, you never know. I think the most likely reason that James Harden, wouldn't be in the winning lineups at the end of the night, it's because Giannis puts up 80 fantasy points, and James Harden's 63 or whatever he gets isn't enough. But you have to expect a giant game from James Harden here. So yeah, he's a guy that's certainly going to be a priority for me. And then you look at the rest of the Brooklyn guys, and they're so cheap. I mean, Patty Mills, I think, is going to have to score here. Like, they're lacking a lot of scoring. Mills has been pretty damn good when given minutes. I assume he'll be back in the starting lineup. Bad defense. Mills can light it up. So I like Mills quite a bit at 4,800. He's a little bit expensive. And in this style of game, I'm not normally a Bembry guy, but a little bit interested in here because he's a guy that can contribute defensively, get up and down the court. He can thrive in against a really bad team. And so I think he's interesting. I really like James Johnson. I like Bruce Brown. And yeah, Claxton, I like him too. I mean, look at the centers that have had success playing with Harden are of the Claxton variety, right? It's not Blake Griffin and Paul Millsap. It's guys like Clint Capella, right? Who can finish. You clear out, you put everyone around the perimeter, and then you have Claxton just sitting next to the hoop.
He loves Claxton. He loves Claxton.
I gotta take a few steps back on my Claxton comments.
Yeah.
I definitely, it's going to be a Harden, throw up some lobs. I mean, 20 minutes might be all he needs to.
Harden misses a layup and Claxton slams it home, right? You get 3.25 for that.
Yeah.
And then
I like it.
Claxton's an athlete. You want athletes against Houston because they just, they're just so bad. So many missed shots, blocks, and steals. Claxton can do all those things. Millsap and Blake Griffin, nah, I'm not playing those guys. But give me some Claxton. Love Harden, and then the peripheral pieces. I rank them: James Johnson, Bruce Brown, Mills, Bembry, and then Cam Johnson as well. I think is it Cam Johnson? Is that his name?
Cameron Thomas.
Cameron Thomas. Good scorer in college. I think he's going to have to get minutes here. He's 3,100 too. I bet you'll see him out there for 20 plus, maybe 25 plus minutes. I think he's got a good chance to reach value. And if, it's Houston. Any team can blow out Houston. Cam Thomas is going to be out there if this game gets out of hand. No question about it. Probably around the point, to be honest. So to me, I'll be playing probably minimum 2, maybe 3 or 4 nets on a lot of my teams, especially on DraftKings, because if I fade Harden on one team, I'm probably playing Mills, Brown, Johnson, Claxton, because Houston is so bad that, in the rare instance something happens to Harden, I still think the rest of the Nets are going to put up fantasy points. So I'll have a lot of the Nets here. I think by far the best team to target tonight, both on the star end with Harden and on the scrubs end with all these other guys.
Yeah, highest total on the slate. It's supposed to be competitive. We spent a lot of time on this game, but the Nets pieces you definitely need. Before anyone asked if you need a run back, you don't need a run back. In NBA, Eric Gordon? I don't think you need
Eric
him.
Gordon. I know.
That's your favorite?
Eric Gordon, yeah.
I think he's worth mentioning. He started at point guard. They don't really have anybody left.
We've seen him have big upside in these spots where he's like point guard. So I think he's a guy that could get you 40 plus.
I think if you're going real heavy on the Nets, you could do the Eric Gordon, Christian Wood run back on the other side. I think is interesting. Wood's really expensive though. 9,800 is a problem there, but I could see him having a big game here. I think I prefer him on FanDuel. I think he's in the high 8K. So nice, if you want to call it a discount, just overpriced on DraftKings, but Wood's very capable of putting up 50 plus here, no question.
Yeah, I don't mind that 1-2% Gordon call. I mean, against the Magic late in the game, he had the ball in his hands the whole time, and he was the one making the plays. So yeah. Gordon can get hot. I think that's a interesting run back AP for low ownership. But yeah, this game, you're definitely going to want some pieces of it. I agree with DC. If you're MMEing, probably make a rule of at least 2. Don't play Dusty Millsap and Blake Griffin. Play the James Johnsons, the Claxtons of the world, Bembry, whoever else besides those 2 is what I'll say. Took a lot of time on that game, but rightfully so. We got some news too when we were talking about it. Paul George is now questionable. It's the last game on the slate, so you don't wait for that news with how much other value we have. I doubt we get it until later, but hey, it's Paul George. If you're playing the late slate, or if you somehow think, or if you do think he does get ruled out as a late downgrade midday, you can find some like a Reggie Jackson Bledsoe. We'll get into it later, but interesting news. Then Tyrese Maxey is playing, so no need to go back to Shake Milton. We're going to get into the next game. You guys are doing well. Over 500 watching, 225 likes. Keep hitting the like button for us, please. Still a lot of people out there that haven't hit it. We appreciate the ones that have. Just do us a favor and hit the like button for us, please. Monster slate, tons of news. We're doing our best to get through it. Next game, Denver Nuggets, New Orleans Pelicans. Denver is favored by 212.5 total. Will Barton's questionable, which is pretty big news. He dominates the ball a lot. They're getting Bol and Bones Highland back. Bol doesn't even play, but Bones Highland now is back in the rotation. I'll go back to you, AP. Not a game I have too much interest in. Jokic, we talk about raw points. You can always play a Jokic against Joe Val. Talk about this game.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it real simple since we have a ton of games to get through with 19 minutes left. Jokic or move on. And I don't think you need Jokic, but I think a lot of people are going to think that way. So if you want a very low-owned Nikola Jokic that is always capable of breaking the slate, you're going to get him tonight.
I like it. Last thing I'll mention, Joe Val, he's about $900 cheaper on FanDuel than he is DK. I think he makes a little sense over there. 7.5, he's showing upside. DC, anything in this game?
If Barton's out, it gets a little more interesting. Obviously, Jokic is a good play if you want to go that direction. It's just kind of personal preference, right? If you want to play Jokic or Giannis or Embiid, I really don't have that strong of a preference between those three guys. But if Barton's out, you're suddenly getting real thin in the backcourt. I mean, this team's already was missing, obviously Jamal Murray's out for the year. But, guys that were getting minutes, Austin Rivers is out, PJ Dozier is out, Michael Porter Jr. is out, and the Pelicans are the worst team in the league at defending against the pick and roll. So guards have had a lot of success against them. If Barton is out, that obviously the offense still runs through Jokic, but what doesn't run through Jokic will fall to Morris. Monty Morris, I think, is capable. I mean, he's coming off a 37 fantasy point game against Chicago. And then Kim Pazzo, I think at that point becomes a little bit interesting as kind of a deeper sleeper. I do prefer Morris at 5K, but matchup's phenomenal, and he directly benefits from the absence of Will Barton if that does end up happening. So I don't think he's a strong enough play to, build my lineups around that possible news. But, if we get that news after lock and you've got room to swap, Monty Morris is someone that I think could potentially be sneaky and have a big game here.
Yeah, the game's at 8 p.m. Eastern. We have a couple games that lock early, but it's like the Miami side, but like there's good 7:30 games past then. So we'll get the news, I think, in pretty good time after the first ones where if he is out, you can go to a Morris or Jokic or something like that, like you're saying. Going to get into the next game, Utah Jazz, Minnesota Timberwolves. Jazz are favored by 6.5. We have a 220 total. D'Angelo Russell still is out. Towns is probable he's going to play, but man, like I played him last game and I'm glad I did. He went nuclear. He fell on that tailbone twice in the first half and he really made me scared. He was walking gingerly, but man, did he go off. D Russ is still out. You're the expert, DC, on these Minnesota Timberwolves, so talk about it.
Yeah, I think relatively simple here. I mean, I think people might see the matchup with the Jazz and be scared off a little bit. And I get that for Towns, but the thing with Towns is he can launch from deep. I mean, he should take more threes, shooting 45% from three on the year. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the entire league. And I did see a quote. It was in Discord. Someone posted it from the Timberwolves coaching staff saying they want Towns to shoot more. They wanted we want him to shoot. The quote was, "We want him to shoot 15 to 20 threes tonight," something like that. Which obviously is not going to happen, but kind of caught my eye a little bit, right? With D'Lo on the bench, and it makes some sense. I mean, you're not going to go to Towns in the post against Rudy Gobert, so maybe you let him launch deep from the outside. That would seem like the obvious counter to a rim protector of the caliber of Gobert. So I think Towns is interesting here. I think the better play, the one I prefer though, is Anthony Edwards with D'Lo out. They're going to get Patrick Beverley back, but Beverley, I mean, we know he's a very low usage player, right? He's a defender, he's the best, but he's not a particularly skilled offensive player. I would say the opposite really for Patrick Beverley. So it's going to be a lot of Anthony Edwards. We saw it last game. Edwards was a little disappointing, partly because he just flukely, I think he got one rebound, just a total fluke, didn't shoot it well. But I'm not that scared of the matchup for Edwards. Donovan Mitchell and Bogdanovich out there on the perimeter. I think he can handle that. And the other guys that the Timberwolves play, I mean, Taurean Prince and Vanderbilt, like these guys, very, very low usage, very low impact. Vanderbilt, great rebounder, but other than that, just a super, super low usage player. They're going to need Edwards to chuck in this game. Played 40 minutes in the last game. I would expect at home here, similar. I think Edwards is going to be out there basically the entire game, maybe along with Towns too. So I think you can pair them. I think you can play one or the other. My preference is Edwards, but yeah, Edwards, certainly one of my favorite plays on this slate. And we know the upside's there. We've seen it a couple times where he pops off for 60, 70 fantasy points. I think it's happened twice this year. Floor is pretty safe with all the minutes. So you give me that nice floor ceiling kind of fair price tag. And I think maybe somewhat relatively low ownership. He was high on last slate. So
It'll be pretty low.
But I think, yeah, just on this particular site against the Jazz, people are gonna be a little bit scared off. Not me. I expect a big game out of Edwards here.
AP, how do you see this without D'Angelo Russell? Then Hassan Whiteside's questionable, which I didn't really think was too big of news, but I popped in Discord for a little bit and saw a couple people interested if Hassan Whiteside was out. So Rudy Gobert, maybe a couple more minutes. Do you see something that would sway the needle? I don't even know if that's the right word, but something that would put you on someone.
Move the needle, Tyler. Move the needle.
I should have known that. There was a project, Move the Needle project too, that I did senior year. So I should have known that. Appreciate it, DC. AP though, Hassan Whiteside, is that moving the needle for you? Anyone on the Timberwolves?
I mean, I don't know. Like Gobert probably will have the same role. I mean, or somewhat similar. So I'm not really a Rudy Gobert guy. But yeah, I'm with DC on this. So like, I love one reason why I love DFS and NBA obviously specifically, but Edwards, he was like 45% owned against the Hawks in the spot where D'Lo gets ruled out, and he didn't like completely bust, but he fell a little bit under expectation, and now we get a slate. No one's going to play him because no one plays people against Utah. However, they're not the same team on the road. Where they blow people out is at home, and they do it by making a ton of threes. Their 3-point makes has just not been as good on the road. I think this sets up, I think Anthony Edwards is one of the better tournament plays on the slate. You can play him right there in the small forward position too. You can still get Harden. You can still make that work. So yeah, I'm definitely with DC on this one. I have a ton of interest in Edwards. I think he's going to chalk, and yeah, I think he has 38 to 40-minute upside here. So sign me up for Edwards.
So a couple nerd stat points on Edwards. On the season, averaging 12 drives per game. Obviously, D'Lo's been healthy most of the season. He had 25 last game, so double. On the season, averaging 9 potential assists per game. Had 16 in the last game. So Edwards, it didn't quite work out, but his role very, very much changes when D'Lo's off the court.
Yep, definitely like it. Good information there. 4 games left, 256 likes. Junior and Richie Smalls said Precious is out.
Ooh, yeah.
There we go.
We still got 4 games left?
Yeah, that's going to be for the
Bobby Boucher night, everyone. Bobby Boucher night. There you go.
Boucher and Siakam get more minutes at 5 for sure. They'll break it down up to lock, but yeah, Boucher and Siakam are definitely the beneficiaries there. 4 games left. 540 watching, 256 likes. Richie Smalls and Junior said 3 bills, 300 likes should be easy. 300 likes should be easy. We appreciate it. Let's get 300 today on this big slate. Next game, 4 games left. Dallas Mavericks, the Memphis Grizzlies, 218 total. Memphis is favored by 3. And the big news in this game, Luka is questionable. On the other side, John Morant's obviously out for a while. Kyle Anderson is doubtful. Brandon Clark is out. So a little more, I guess you could play someone on Memphis like a Dylan Brooks or Jaren Jackson. I think they are fine. But the big news, if Luka's out, KP, 8.1K. He had a very good game last game. I think he'd be strong. Jalen Brunson, the same guys that we usually play. We've seen this before. AP, take it away. Luka news. Anyone on Memphis?
Yeah, I kind of think Luka sits here. I mean, knee looked pretty banged up, or ankle looked pretty banged up. A decent spot where they could, use this as a spot to get him healthy. And yeah, so keep your eye on Jalen Brunson. He's the one guy I would have interest in. I'm not going to really go chasing Dorian Finney-Smith. He hit a ton of tough 3-point jumpers yesterday. So, and man, the Grizzlies, they've been very good defensively. So I want to keep it to Brunson, maybe a little Porzingis, but again, right in that price range, Like, am I going Porzingis or Anthony Edwards, who's probably going to get more minutes, who's fresh, not on a back-to-back, and Porzingis would get way more ownership than a guy like Anthony Edwards. So,
I mean, talk about we had talked about Harden, he just no foul trouble, no injuries. Talk about a guy who can just cripple you, not even through his play. That's Porzingis, right? Like the floor for Edwards and Porzingis, even if Lucas sits, is just not even close to me. I'm with you, AP. I think Edwards way better play there.
AP, you got that was everything for this game. Hey, Brunson.
Yeah, I mean, like Steven Adams. I'm not going to go to Steven Adams.
No.
I don't think anyone on the Memphis side is a must play. Like Dylan Brooks, I think he's solid. Jaren Jackson, obviously another risky guy, solid. They're going to be in my MME pool, but probably not like a core play for me tonight.
DC, how do you see this game?
Yeah, I mean, I really like Brunson if Lucas sits. Again, I don't think he's such a good play that you need to build your lineup around that possible news. I'd be okay not having him at 5,400. I don't think he's a lock. Memphis been playing really well. Tyus Jones is fine, but I don't really see myself going to Memphis much. Jaren Jackson has a really nice price tag on FanDuel. I think 6,300 at a little bit of a thin power forward position. So he's got big upside, and the matchup is fine here. So maybe you could go to him, but probably not going to have too many pieces from this game.
I agree. Piece or two, if Luke is out, it definitely gets more interesting. Jackson and Dylan Brooks, I think the only ones on Memphis side I would go to. Next game, Orlando Magic, Sacramento Kings, 222.5 total. Sacramento is favored by 6.5. Harrison Barnes still is questionable. Maurice Harkless is also questionable. I see some people talking Rashawn Holmes in chat. Talk about him. Davion Mitchell, I know you were bringing up a little earlier, DC. Talk about this game.
Yeah, Sacramento going guard heavy, starting 3 guards, and then Davion Mitchell, one of the first guys in off the bench. I think, Mitchell would be one of those guys that could be impacted by news. Mo Harkless, Harrison Barnes, questionable for this one. Just not quite as many minutes to go around there if those guys are in. But Mitchell is still going to play in 3,300. Good player, great matchup against Orlando. He would become interesting. I'm not going to play De'Aaron Fox for the first time all year tonight, so no Fox for me. Halliburton, 6K again. Decent play. Maybe someone I would end up on if weird news breaks and I got to change my teams, or maybe my teams don't start out well and I need an outlet or something like that. But yeah, I'm not that interested in Sacramento here. Rashawn Holmes, I think, has some upside. Cole Anthony price is back down. He could have a big game here. He's going to have to play minutes, but I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something with this game, but I don't think I'm going to have that much exposure to it in the end.
No, I'm with you. I mean, 13 games, we got to cross some off. We mentioned some earlier. I think this one, we're not going to get the Harrison Barnes news most likely and stuff. Is it really worth the risk? And yeah, sure, I would have some Tyrese Halliburton if he was out, but it's not like he'd be a stone lock on a slate like this. So I'm with you. AP, how do you see this game?
Yeah, I'm going to have interest in Mo Bamba and Rashawn Holmes in MME formats, but probably not. I mean, Rashawn Holmes, he's a guy that can win you a tournament. He's coming off a game where he absolutely sucked in a really good matchup. I mean, we've seen him put 44 plus up a few times this season. So he'd be the guy that I have interest in. Good matchup again for Fox, but the guards here just make it tough. Davion Mitchell, 3.3K. He is the guy I would like if I'm pivoting off of that AO guy. So he's going to be much lower owned. Makes for a great tournament pivot.
I like it for sure. 2 games left, 30 more likes. You guys can do it. Hit the like for us, please. Then we got BigT, JSU, I believe, up to lock. Holden, I think, is BigT, JSU, Holden. RPS Heater 25% off if you're not a member. Definitely going to want to check out that show. They had a great James Johnson call yesterday at low ownership. So see who they're on today. Next game, Portland Trailblazers, Golden State Warriors. Golden State, the biggest favorite at 14.5, 216.5 total. Damian Lillard still out. CJ McCollum, he has a collapsed lung, which popped yesterday. Hope he's going to do all right, but he's also out. Anthony Simons is questionable with his ankle. Nasir Little questionable. Ben McLemore questionable. Cody Zeller questionable. They don't have a lot of bodies. I think Golden State runs them over, but Norman Powell's price went down for some reason, 4.8K. He's going to be very popular. Took 24 shots. He's going to chuck it. Larry Nance, 3'5". Dennis Smith handling the point guard duties, 5'8". I don't have any interest on this Warriors side, though. DC, what do you see in this game?
Yeah, I mean, Portland's just a complete mess right now. It seems like they just fired their GM. It seems like they were gonna trade CJ McCollum. I don't know if that's gonna happen now with the serious collapsed lung thing. If all these guys are out, I mean, someone's got to play for Portland. So I think guys like Powell and Dennis Smith Jr., I think their minutes would become pretty secure, outside of just like a massive, massive blowout, which could easily happen. Obviously, as you mentioned, 14.5-point favorites are the Warriors. But yeah, I mean, Powell at 4,800, they're going to need him, especially if a couple of these Portland guys miss. So yeah, I think he's a good play. Same with DSJ. Listen, I know they're big underdogs, but these are still NBA players, and you never know. So they could put up big games. They're certainly going to have to if Portland's going to have any competition or compete in this game. I'm thinking that Portland might just freaking sit everybody, just freaking punt the game. And I don't know if they have enough like true scrub backups to play on the roster or not. It worries me. I don't know if you guys saw it in Discord. I think you saw it, AP. Steph Curry is 16 3-pointers shy of breaking the all-time record held by Ray Allen for career 3-pointers made. He was asked about it in a press conference, post-game or pre-game or whatever, and said he's aware of the situation. They go on the road for 4 to 5 games after this. Apparently, he wants to break the record at home. 16 threes is a lot to ask. That would also be another record of the most 3-pointers in a game of any person in the game, I believe. So I don't think he's probably going to do it, but it's a little bit interesting. And I've chased worse narratives than that before, so I did have to.
I love this narrative. I love it. I think. Look, they look at this game. Portland has no one.
I mean,
Draymond's going to tee him up.
Yeah.
Draymond's going to tee him up. Curry's going to chalk. I think he may not play the fourth quarter, but I think he takes 23-point attempt shots tonight. Whether he makes as many as he needs to is to be determined. But I definitely think he's just going to chalk. So
you got to play him.
11-4,
2% own. If he's taking 23, sign me up.
Do they?
Yeah, I'm going to play him in tournaments for sure. Like I think it's. I'm going to watch the game, and I just think he's going to chalk. So
here's my question. Let's say, it's the Portland's so bad. Like Golden State could come in as a team, could come into this game and say our team goal is to get Steph Curry this record. If that's the goal,
Kerr's that type of coach too. They did it when Clay broke that record. They were feeding them the ball. Like,
and here's my second question. If Steph's making, let's say if he's making all these threes early on, you got to assume Golden State's going to be kind of blowing him out at that point. But if he's got 11 threes through 3 quarters and the goal was to give him the record, do they let him play in the garbage time to try to get it? Maybe. I don't know. So
if he has 13 or 14 threes, he's definitely going to play.
Yeah.
If he's got like
13 or 14, you're happy with Steph anyway, and he's probably going to get the additional minutes. But I don't know. I wish it was like 11 that he needed, and then I'd be like, all right, he's gonna get it. But I
was gonna say 16. I would completely be shocked. But hey, you heard it from DC. The narrative.
I'm gonna play him on one of my 4 draft.
So all right, here, guys, listen to this. This season alone, he's made 9 3-pointers 4 times. Okay, once was against the Hawks when he put up 86 DraftKings points. The next was against the Timberwolves. Or no, that was attempts. The next was against the Bulls. He put 58. The next was against the Nets. He put up 62 DraftKings points. And then the last time he did it was against the Cavs, and he went for 61. So point of the story, he's going to be chucking. If he makes a 9 or more, the results are there. Like, the guy is going to put up a decent number. So I have a ton of interest in him tonight. I think he's a really interesting tournament play.
Makes sense. Anyone on this Portland side that you like, AP?
Yeah, Norman Powell. The price is just sure, blowouts there could be a risk. But yeah, he's gonna have to chuck. Keep an eye on Anthony Simons. Is he in? Do we have that?
Question. He rolled his ankle and it was pretty good too. Like, he didn't return. I would be kind of surprised. I'm leaning he doesn't play, but
yeah, I stacked that game up.
What do I know?
That game was lower on. I needed Simons to stay healthy, and that the game he got hurt to stay close. But keep an eye on there. But either way, Norman Powell is going to be the offense there. Ton of interest in him.
14.5. This isn't a betting show, but man, the Warriors minus 14.5. That number still seems a little too low. This is not a good Portland squad. It could be 0 guys with 4 guys questionable or something too. So I like the Warriors side. Very interesting Steph narrative at low ownership. Maybe we just push it from 2% to 5% or something with the narrative talk over there, DC. Last game, 11 more likes. You guys can do it. Last game, Boston Celtics, Los Angeles Clippers. Clippers are favored by 4, 210.5 total. We got Jaylen Brown will not play. So Jason Tatum, second night on a back-to-back. Tatum, Dennis Schroeder, Smart, they all get bums. And on this Clippers side, Paul George is now questionable. So if he's out, Reggie Jackson, Luke Kennard, Terrence Mann, Bledsoe become interesting. But I highly doubt we get this news. If you're just backloading and you're going to play the Steph and Norman Powell in a couple of these later games, we have 3 games that are 10 p.m. Eastern or later. So if you're backloading, sure, you can save some spot for the news. Otherwise, if you're playing a lot of people in the early game, just Paul George news is just kind of irrelevant is how I'm looking at it. AP, talk about this game.
Yeah, I had this game as pretty much a fade, but obviously if Paul George is out, there's going to be, Reggie Jackson, some of these guys you want to pivot to, Luke Kennard, but I really do want to fade this game. There's so many other games. I'm not playing Paul George if he plays, and I can cross everyone else if he doesn't. But if he sits, in tournaments, you might want to make a shift to like plays like Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann off the bench, Luke Kennard. But I don't know. I don't think they're like stone cold locks. Like we've seen Reggie Jackson boss in this spot. So I'll probably end up under on it at the end of the night.
DC.
Yeah, I'm with AP. I do think one strategy I'm going to have on one of my teams is to play mostly late players. And these 3 games, Portland, Golden State, Orlando, Sacramento, Boston, and the Clippers, you'll be able to make a reasonable team, even if the news doesn't break your way, right? So, and if it does all go your way, right? Maybe all the Portland guys are out, Paul George are out, and all of a sudden you got a pretty nice late night team with a lot of value, and you got Steph Curry, who we like. There's some good players, obviously, in Orlando, Sacramento. So you can totally make a reasonable team. So maybe I'll do that with one of my teams. Maybe that's my Curry team. I would kind of take all late game players and hope some of the news breaks that way. But for the most part, if I'm making one lineup, I'm not banking on Paul George being out and building that way because I don't really want to play those Clippers guys at all if Paul George is in there. So I wouldn't want to end up stuck with them in that scenario.
Makes sense. That was all 13 games. Crazy slate for sure. Up to lock show is going to be very important. Too much time TV. Last question, Carter or Bamba? The guys liked Bamba. They talked about him a little bit. So the guys are going Bamba there. It's time for the plays of the day though. The likes, you guys absolutely smashed it. Still 298. I wasn't going to say 300 or we're out of here, but we appreciate you guys hit the like button if you have or you haven't. DC, Mom's Basement play of the day. Who do you got for us?
Oof. There are some good ones.
That's for sure.
I'm going to go with Derek Jones Jr. With all the guys out for Chicago, I think he's going to have to play big minutes, higher usage. You look at the 28 minutes he played 2 days ago. He was in foul trouble all that game. I think he would have played, looks to me like the rotations, maybe 36 to 40 minutes. Now Chicago down another body. I think potentially Derek Jones Jr. could be out there for 40 plus minutes in this game, 4,300. I think you'll get there, in most scenarios, just with how many guys Chicago's down.
I like you for sure. I'll go to myself with the SO play of the day. A lot of options, as you said. I'm going to go with Dylan Brooks, though. 6.1K. I think that range is avoided a lot. He played 35 minutes last game, shot 21 times, had 40 DFS points, got 8 assists too. Without John Moran and a lot of bodies they're missing, Brooks is just chucking. I think he goes overlooked. He's showing a lot of upside at 6.1K. So give me Dylan Brooks as the SO play of the day. AP, to cap it off, the gentleman's call of the day. Who do you have for us?
Yeah, so we have plenty of value on the slate to make a 2-stud lineup work. I'm not going to sit here and promise that this play is in my core or in my main lineup, but I'm going to be overweight in tournaments. I love the narrative. And it's not just the narrative, but it's the fact that, he's just going to chuck. And every time that we see him take a ton of 3-point attempts, he puts up big numbers. So even though there's blowout risk, I think if he is in there chucking, he has somewhat of a decent floor. I'm going Steph Curry. I'm going 23-point attempts tonight. He falls short, though, of the record. I think he makes 10 of them.
AP's telling the future right there. Steph Curry, gentlemen's call of the day. Derek Jones, Dylan Brooks. Thank you guys all for hanging out with us. It was very fun. Big slate. Hope you guys rump here and get to the top. If you're not a member and want to be one, RPS Teeter 25 gets you 25% off to see if Steph Curry is in AP's core, to see the playbook, the heat map, the up to lock show, which I'm going to tune in. It's going to be very big on today's slate. James Johnson, big call for the guys yesterday. Let's see who they got today. Appreciate you guys all hanging out with us and hitting the like button. For AP, DC, Simon behind the sticks, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.